I was very impressed with Secret of the Mimic. Hello people, my name is Meatloaf Man, and welcome to my unscripted spoiler review, so spoiler warning, review of Secret of the Mimic. I just want to get one thing clear though. I did finish school. I know uploads haven't been very good, like I always am, but hopefully I'll, start uploading again if I feel like it. Don't ever rely on me for uploads. But yeah, time for the actual review. Secret of the Mimic, I knew before the game came out it was either going to be a platinum hit or a platinum miss. Luckily it was a platinum hit. It is a very, very good game. The best thing Steel Wolves made. Like Help Wanted 2 was good, Security Breach was good, Rune, I already enjoyed everything. Secret of the Mimic executes what they are good at and does it the best. I'm going to start with the storytelling, because I think that's a very interesting and important part of the game. We are Arnold, and we're following Dispatcher, or whatever his name was, voiced by Andy Field. Let's go, Andy Field again. Through Murray's Costume Manor. Asbear property is still in the Costume Manor, and they need to get it back. That being the Data Diver and the Mimic Blueprints. You level up your security thing until you realize, like, your Data Diver. You go through Murray's Costume Manor, learn a lot of things. The Dispatcher is actually the Mimic, guiding you so that he could get the blueprints and he could get the max level Data Diver, take control of the factory. Now, that's a really interesting concept, and I think there are a lot of things in the story that are done and executed really well. And I think Edwin is a very fleshed out character. Arnold he's meh. I like the Dispatcher. I like the characters, like the mascots, and the ones that are evil or possessed by the Mimic virus and is inside the bodies. I like Nurse Dolly. I like Big Top Music Man. I refuse to call him Big Top. That's such a dumb name. Big Top Music Man. Very good model. I really like that model. And speaking of, the designs in this game are great. The atmosphere is great. Everything about this game I was surprised. It was a platinum hit, and I am happy it was. The next thing I want to talk about is the gameplay. So, Security Breach, I personally enjoyed. I didn't like it at all at first, but it definitely grew on me because of how dumb it is. Nobody can take that game seriously when it comes to horror, and usually just use it as it's fun. As a game, objectively, the quality of the game does not match anything Fnaf has, and it's not good. People like me just personally like the game. The game is not good. Secret of the Mimic, objectively, takes everything Security Breach had flawed and made it better. Like, example, Security Breach was supposed to be a stealth game. You could outrun the animatronics in Security Breach. In this game, they made the animatronics super speedy, like full out iShow speed mode. They go and it's crazy. And you actually need stealth. The hiding spots are actually good, and they're actually useful. The story, as I said, it's better. The mechanics are better. The Phaz Wrench from Ruin was very obviously used as inspiration to make the Data Diver in Secret of the Mimic, and I think that they did a phenomenal job with it, and you use it the whole time for numerous things across the game, and I think that being the main gimmick of the game is great. Each section has their own little segment, and you get to spend a certain, each amount of time with one character. Like Dolly has her segment, or the numerous random mascots that you see across the game. Big Top Music Man has a segment with a chase at the end, and I think it's really cool. You also get Tiger Rock at the end, which, by the way, that is really good, really Slender the 8 Pages-esque, or something like that, and it's so cool. That Tiger Rock boss fight is just mwah, chef's kiss. It's so good. And before people say that this is Poppy Playtime, it's not. I could see why people say that, because it's a traditional style mascot horror game, but it is very different. It is very different, and I think it is done a lot better. I don't think the chase sequences are as good as Poppy. I think the chase sequences could have been done a lot better, and I think that there were a lot of things in the game that could have been improved on or fleshed out more, but overall the game's really interesting. There are a lot of quirky little mechanics, quirky little gimmicks that you see across the game, and I think it's really cool. Most important part of a horror game, the horror. The horror in this game, after having Fnaf for 10 years and being a Fnaf fan for as long as I have, makes me like kind of immune to the horror and playing as many horror games as I have. So while I personally didn't get scared a whole lot, I find this to be one of the scarier atmosphere-wise and like creepiness-wise scary moments. As I said, the Tiger Rock boss fight, or seeing Dolly come out of the inferno and saying, damn, these costumes, the Mimic, these dudes are freaking invincible. How do we stop them? And it's just like so cool. And then she like barters at the elevator and you have to fix it quickly, and then she slams into the top. It's so cool. The action in this game. This is the first 13 up FNAF game, which I'm happy. It's still the target audience kids, but it takes a step up this time. You could definitely tell it takes a step up in horror, in like the gameplay level that doesn't give you a million hints and babies you, like Security Breach or Ruin or some of the other ones. It like you're given vague things on what to do and you do it. And I was able to figure out most of the game by myself, and I, except for a few things with endings and stuff, I was like, wait, how do you do this? How do you get this ending? But I feel like there are too many autosaves, but it's fine. The content of the game I find to be very enjoyable. I think there's a lot of side content you could do. Like, there's a lot of Easter eggs. You could listen to these logs. You could get, like, certain mails. You could get collectibles and stuff like that. And I find it really cool. A lot of cool Easter eggs to look at. And I think Secret of the Mimic just excels at all of those. And I praise it. And I think that there are a lot of things this game just does a lot better than the other FNAF games. Example, the endings. I said spoiler warning, and I'm going to go into it again. The endings, very hit or miss, but overall great. And I will get to those later. The whole chases and the, if you want to call them deaths, were cool. And I think that, like, maybe if we could have seen the deaths more, like with Dolly, and like the other ones we didn't see too well, and they could have been more fleshed out. I feel like the rollout for the game was very all over the place, because we got to the point where people were calling it Secret of the Marketing, and then they finally started marketing and acknowledging the game still closer to its release, and we were getting teasers like almost every day. As I said, the side things like Moon.exe, that's something I've yet to mention. Really well fleshed out mini game where you get all 25 collectibles and you kind of use them all in this like thing, and it's really cool, like this mini game. And there are a lot of things that changes the FNAF lore. A lot of people say for the worst, that is dumb, and especially hypocritical, because I feel like some people don't appreciate the lore as much because the theories they had over the past 10 years are wrong. And I really appreciate it, especially not being in the FNAF lore scene a lot and not really caring about it, and then just having this breath of fresh air. And I don't care about assembling the timeline together, and I just care about the storytelling that's in front of us. I think this is a really good, cool way to theorize about the game, especially seeing a bunch of things from previous games, like the big Freddy head. You see whatever the blueprints of like Chica and the cupcake with the Yeezys roller skates. I found that really funny. I call them Yeezys. You start to question, like, oh my god, how old are these animatronics? Saying this game takes place in 1979, and then you see like Foxy or Roxanne being hand puppets back then, and you're like, damn. Or even Monty having references, and it's like, wow, how long are these dudes really been concepts for? And then you see the Fiona design, the FNAF 1 animatronics, and they've just been sitting there until Mr. Billis Afton decided to dig him up the old pooper and then just throw him in there. I found that great, and I found the whole, like, I really like Edwin as a character and Fiona, and I think it's all great. I feel like we got enough David. I've praised it enough. There's a lot of things I really like about it, but what about the things I don't like? These are more of just minor nitpicks, except for the one big, obvious, glaring issue that I feel like everyone has, that Steelwool has as an issue, actually. It was pretty obvious that in Security Breach, the game was marketed that Vanny was the main character, the main villain, or whatever. and got no screen time whatsoever. It didn't even have a final moment or anything. Well, it's done in this game. Like, I feel like the main, mimic, the main character that was recruited in this game, more than anything, was Jackie. Which is very true. And we're looking at it, we're like, Jackie's the cover of the game, Mr. Funky Tom himself. He's on the icon. I mean, I played it on PS5 in the home screen. He's straight there on the icon. He's in the logo of Secret of the Mimic. He had the whole "My name is the freaking Mimic" Jackie's box about him. He deserves screen time. He doesn't get a lot. So, doing some math here, we could see that he has about like 30 seconds of screen time, the Jackie's box time to play, the Jack in the Box. And later then, he gets about a minute with the, destroying the male bot, and then us falling, and then he gets like a 2-minute chase. So he gets like 5 minutes of screen time in the whole game, and that's at the very beginning. And it got to the point where the mascots are more prevalent than Jackie. We see Tiger Rock, we see Chica more than Jackie, we see Dolly a lot more than Jackie, we see Music Man more, and it's like, dude, Jackie, where are you? And I feel like the overhyped and the secret of the marketing was that Jackie doesn't freaking matter at all. So now that we're done with our math, we see he doesn't get a lot of screen time. Barely any, and gets just about as much as Vanny, if not less. Another issue is the actual main ending. I'm going to talk about the bad ending here, as I like to call it, or the escape ending, or whatever. It's very similar to Ruin, where someone who you think is your friend, or in this case, employer, you think you should be following their orders, is actually the Mimic, and kills you. Sound familiar? That is literally Ruin. And I find that ending really dumb. Ruin did it so much better, and I feel like this ending is just bad. Luckily, the two other endings have to make up for it, but we'll talk about that last. I also find that at the end of every chase, you kind of just well, this is more for Big Top, Music Man, and Jackie. You fall, and then it just cuts to black, and you're just magically somewhere. Like, bro, let me see that my dude's dying. Let me see that. Let me see me falling. But we're going to get into another point of discussion, and that's the endings. The last part I want to talk about. I already talked about the bad ending, but there are two other endings. So, at the last point of the game, instead of giving the Mimic the data diver, if you go into your helper monitor and click parachute.exe, it gets into this really cool segment where you learn ahead of time that the dude is the Mimic, Dispatch is the Mimic, and that you go into this segment where it's like you were a good dog, an obedient dog, and you were listening to me the whole way. I guess you're just like the others. You're not gonna make it out of here alive, and it's ominous. And you get to the goodbye show, and then you go down to the research and development. Learn that the Fazbear project that was mentioned quite a bit in this game, that Edwin and Fiona had everything to do with Fazbear Entertainment and their upbringing, and it was really good. I think this is the best ending in the whole FNAF series, the 6 a.m. fire ending, because you have a whole showdown in the FNAF 1 pizzeria with the Mimic, where you have to get a bunch of spring lock suits and have them put where they would use power and drain the power, go inside the office. And then after that, you have a chat with Fiona in the Mexis computer thing box, and then you go, you learn how big this basement is, just like the Mega Pizzaplex. This is where Edwin actually connects to his house, and it's great foreshadowing, because I was watching the Fiznom stream after I finished the game, and you can see Edwin's house in the distance right as you start the game, and it's so cool, because you end up going there at the end, and the final part is having a showdown in Edwin's house where you get 5 tapes and learn more about the Mimic, and it's great. And you learn more about Edwin, Fiona, and David's story, and it's just a bunch of David's birthdays, all trying to get the film tapes with the Mimic patrolling you, and it's so cool. And then you finish that, and you escape. You get to Edwin's office, and you have one final chase with the Mimic. And that Mimic, this is a different Mimic. He has one final chase with you. You escape, and the Murray's costume manor is on fire. It's on fire. You escape. You drive off, and then the Mimic still kills you and takes the data diver, following you in the car. And I think everyone could agree that this is the canon ending, but is so phenomenal. Because unlike most FNAF endings, which is like 30 minutes, 20 minutes tops, this ending sequence is like over an hour. And it's so cool. It is phenomenal. And I really enjoyed that ending. And the other ending is where you finish Moon.exe and you get the 7th and final permission of the data diver, which is the glitched permission. And you open glitched doors in Edwin's house that instead of collecting tapes, you collect 6 little chips, which opened a pathway to David's bedroom, which is also the bedroom from Moon.exe, which is awfully similar to the FNAF 4 bedroom, with just a few things that are off about it. And you have this cool story time with Fiona, and like corrupt the Mimic into like being good by choosing certain stories. And it's just so cool. And it's just saying, come on, we have to sleep now. And while that is the good ending, that's the only one you don't get killed. I don't think it's the canon ending. I don't think anyone does. It's just a cool secret. And speaking of, Moon. Sleepy Moon is so cool. Probably a lot going on with that character that we haven't learned yet. But I don't know what his deal is. We gotta discover that. But yeah, overall this game was phenomenal. There were some minor things that change about it, but yeah. And frick it, we're giving it a rating on the moist meter. I would give it a 89. It is the second best FNAF game in my opinion, right behind Into the Pit, which is my favorite. Who knows? Maybe I might like Secret of the Mimic more. If you guys don't know, later in my channel, earlier, like way back, I used to do security breach speedrunning. And a lot of speedrunning. I kinda dipped that, except for the Help Wanted 2 video, which I never upload on speedrun.com or to my second channel, and I don't really care, I'm gonna be honest. Speedruns will be coming out on this game, as it is already down to 3 minutes with a wrong warp that gets you from the beginning to end of the game, and I will be doing that as soon as possible, and as soon as I feel like it, actually. So yeah. Secret of the Mimic, phenomenal. 88% on the moist meter because screw it. And yeah, I found that to be a great game. So yeah, with all that being said, I am super happy. That's about it. Swag out.